Welcome back to Bourbon Up. I'm your host, Fred Minnick, editor-in-chief of Bourbon Plus magazine. How would you feel about sitting with your biggest rival? That's what we did in this week's episode. We set down Jeff Arnett, master distiller of Jack Daniels, and Fred No, master distiller of Jim Beam. And we talked whiskey. We talked cars and their first drink, and a little bit of football as well. Before we get into this week's episode, I want to go back in time and taste some vintage products from both Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. You can find these here at the Bardstown Bourbon Company. This is the Jack Daniels Gold Medal. It's got a really kind of a classic nose of Jack Daniels. You get a little bit of that corn, a little bit of that caramel there. Definitely a tried and true Jack Daniels product. Now we're going to go back into the 1970s with a little bit of Jim Beam. Now this one has got a little bit more baking spice than the Jack Daniels. It's also got some sweetness and just a hint of anise. Very different. Back then they were rivals and today they're rivals. But on this week's episode of Bourbon Up, Jack Daniels and Jim Beam are friends. So, please always drink responsibly. Enjoy this week's episode. Cheers. So what was your first drink, Jeff?
Beer. I think like most people, I started with beer, and then you get to a point where it's like, okay, done that, looking for something a little bit more. And I think it was probably going to college football games where you realized that you couldn't put a six-pack in a boot. So you were looking for a flask that you could slip in. I definitely tried some Beam back in the day. But just being a native Tennessean, I think I always leaned towards Jack Daniels. Simply, I think the same way Kentucky loves Kentucky bourbon, and they should, as they should. And I would hope that Tennesseans would be loyal to Tennessee whiskey for just for no other reason than when they tell people they're from Tennessee, Jack Daniels is going to enter the conversation with a lot of people,
Right.
Outside this country for sure.
Our distributor does pretty well in Knoxville during the fall of the year.
Absolutely.
You get 100,000 folks watching college football.
That's a good thing. The SEC.
Yeah.
Fred, what was your first drink?
Well, my mother rubbed my gums when I was cutting my teeth. If you want to say the very, very first. And also her best cough medicine was bourbon, honey, and lemon juice.
Yeah.
And so that's what they say. Well, I guess that was if you consider, bourbon on your gums when you're cutting teeth. Now I just got a grandson that was just born 2 weeks ago. I don't know if my daughter-in-law is going to allow such things, but I'm sure with a little boy named Booker, bourbon will touch his lips, I'm sure, at some point. But really, my first drink was
I'm definitely one of those advocates that you need to let them eat dirt, play in the dirt, because I think there's things as kids that you end up, later in life you'll be allergic to everything if you grow up in a sterile environment. So let them get down in the dirty.
But to be honest, my son is more possessive of the baby than his wife.
Okay.
I mean, he makes his mother clean her hands with antibiotic stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's got a dog. And he's like, you've been rubbing that damn dog all day.
Yeah.
Wash your hands with that stuff. He just hands him to me because he knows I don't fool with the dog that much.
Fred, what was your first car?
My first car was a 1969 Chrysler Newport that my mother had new, my dad had, and they gave it to me when I turned 18 when I got out of military school. So I spent a little time in Tennessee.
Yep.
Castle Heights Military Academy in Lebanon, Tennessee.
Nice.
All right.
In the 70s, knucklehead boys got threatened with military school. My father didn't issue threats. He just sent my ass to military school. So.
Jeff, what was your first car?
1976 Pontiac Firebird, but it was black with a gold bird, and it was dressed out like a Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am. So
nice.
I would just tell you, as a 16-year-old kid,
you were cool as cat in town.
I would just say I didn't think about working in the whiskey business as a kid. When I was having to make college choices, I was going after engineering and wanting to work in the automotive field. And I'm still very much a gearhead, love cars, buy, sell, and trade them every chance that I get. Want to own every car on the planet at some point in my life.
Is there a car that you're really going after?
You know, I've owned a little bit of everything. I was born in 1967. That was the first year of the Camaro, so I've had 2 of those. One of which was a really nice specimen, and probably should have kept it. But as I've gotten older, I don't really like old car quirks. You know,
Right.
I'm much more the type to want what I call the resto mod.
There you go.
I would want to take the old car to someone and have modern suspension and power and transmission and comfortable seating and air conditioning and everything in it. So my tastes have changed as I've gotten older. Maybe a little bit more practical.
I'm looking for a 70 Chevelle SS 454 4-speed. Don't
That's
care if
a-
it's got air or not. I just want to be able to.
To me, the 70's the one too. The 2 headlights. Yeah, the only year model of that
Right.
body that had the 2 headlights.
And that's the ones that'll throw you back in the seat when
Yeah.
you mash the gas. Your head goes back. Now I don't know if I can afford the tickets I'll get, but you know, I'll be an old dude. Maybe I can talk my way out of them with a bottle of liquor.
have
maybe.
mercy. Have mercy on an old
Officer, do
man.
you drink? Do you drink?
Who's going to win the SEC East this year?
Well, Georgia, I'm gonna be safe.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and say Kentucky and be a fool. You pull it back out on me. I mean, I'd love to see it happen, you know, because it might. But
Yeah, I'd have to go with Georgia as well. And it's simply since they won it last year and they don't look to be much weaker this year.
Right.
They look to be
Good.
as strong as last year that I think they can repeat.
Do you think we was gonna say Kentucky and Tennessee and we're gonna get a bet or something up?
Ah, no, I figured you were smart, boys.
I can know
Yeah.
where he goes with his questions.
Yeah.
I've been around Fred enough. He likes to stir
And I'm gonna
up.
say Alabama in the West.
Oh yeah, I think Alabama.
one's
I'm taking them for the
Alabama.
national championship. I think Alabama's a safe bet. If I had to bet right now, I'd take Alabama.
Yeah.
They're strong. They,
They
look
look
good.
good. Yeah,
And they
they're-
got backup, like the
Yeah, their
backup quarterback.
offense.
He looks better, almost as good or better than the guy they
you
got
think
out
about
there.
all the national championship teams, their offense was always suspect, and now it's not. They
Right.
probably have one of the best offenses they've had in
Yeah, they're
a
strong.
decade. So
So what do you think of the rye?
it's nice.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
For it to be as old as it is, to have it to hold up. There's a lot of times when you get
Yeah.
whiskeys that are that old,
Oh,
they don't
I
hold
always
up.
say when they come out of the barrel, they're ready to drink. But you know, if you store them right, they can last forever. There's no shelf life here, but it's really nice.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking just a couple minutes on the couch with me. Thank you for sharing the
pleasure.
stage with me.
Oh,
I
it was
love
a
you
pleasure.
both. You're fantastic master distillers and ambassadors for the industry. I just want to say
Cool.
a little cheers to you.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Yep.
Bourbon
Enjoyed it.
Beyond.
Cool.
Cheers.
We can do it again sometime.